Hey everyone, welcome to Blind Smart, your favorite podcast about blindness and beyond. This is the show where we share insights, tips, and stories on how to navigate the world of blindness with confidence and positivity. Whether you're blind yourself, you have a friend or family member who is blind, or you're just curious about blindness, this podcast is for you. So sit back, relax, and let's get blind smart.
Welcome to yet another thrilling episode of Blind Smart. And yes, we are so excited to have you in this special episode. And if you are a regular listener of this podcast, you'd know that myself and Tapsi usually host this podcast on different episodes, one at a time. But today, because it's a special podcast or it's a special episode, we wanted to host it, the both of us. And Tapsi, would you like to tell us what we have in store for listeners today?
Of course, TH. We have the honor of conversing with Aditi Shah today. Aditi is a cybersecurity and AI expert at Microsoft, a passionate advocate for accessibility and inclusion, and lastly, an inspiring role model for many. Please, everyone, welcome Aditi Shah. Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you so much for inviting me.
Yeah, I guess first things first, I must let you know that Thabo is blind, but I am not. However, we are collaborating to combine the perceptions of someone who is blind and those of someone who is not in order to create content that will resonate with everyone regardless of sight. And so, Aditi, you have an amazing journey from losing your sight as a teenager in Mumbai, India, to becoming a leader in AI and cybersecurity at Microsoft. Can you tell us a bit about how you overcame the challenges you faced along the way?
Sure. Yes, like you mentioned, I've had a pretty interesting journey. So I was 11 years old when I was diagnosed with this degenerative eye condition called retinitis pigmentosa. At that time, I had pretty good central vision. I did not have peripheral vision. And over the next 4 years, I gradually lost all of my vision. So I turned totally blind by the age of 15. It was, like the first challenge definitely was the challenge of acceptance, right? Like, I'd never been a blind person in my life. I did not know if I would be able to study, if I would ever get a job, if I would have a career. But, after a little bit of self-indulgence, I realized that my blindness only robbed my ability to see. I could still hear, think, speak, and most importantly, continue to learn new things. So I quickly equipped myself with assistive technology available for the blind and visually impaired. I am a screen reader user. I use JAWS primarily. It basically converts everything that comes on screen to speech. So that's how I started using computers, and I was able to continue my education despite of suddenly losing my eyesight. Um, I wanted to become a software engineer. However, most schools would not accept me, um, like because they've never seen a blind student study math and science. So every school I reached out to turned me down until like I was able to get into one school closer to home. Um, and then began like this journey of adapting to inaccessible study material. Because no other blind student had studied STEM at the University of Mumbai. I had to like take the load of making things accessible on myself. I had to sit through classes where teachers would generally be writing on the board, and I had to just grasp concepts based on the bits and pieces of information that was spoken aloud. Um, I had to spend like a lot of time scanning all my textbooks. At that time, we had all physical books. So I had to scan all the textbooks and just sit down with someone sighted to fix all the OCR errors, so that I could even study those things. So I had to work extremely hard all through school. But I also had a lot of support, even though like my school did not know how to make things accessible. They were very supportive when I came around. And like, I would just come up with workarounds when things wouldn't be accessible, and they were open to accepting those. My parents obviously were very supportive. My mom would kind of read out things to me. She would record some of the things in audio so that I could play those back and forth and just memorize things. Um,
Wow.
so
Wow.
with all of that, I was able to kind of finish my education and just start off my career in tech.
Wow. That is incredible. Isn't it, TH?
Yeah, it's definitely incredible. And maybe before we move forward, I'd just like to ask one question, Aditi. Maybe could you just explain the difference to the listener between being blind and being visually impaired? I realize that
Mhm.
oftentimes they use these terms interchangeably and sometimes in wrong place.
Yes, definitely. So visually impaired, according to me, is someone who has an impaired vision, which is they have issues seeing the same way as someone who has a normal 60/60 vision would see, basically. And a totally blind person is what we call blind. And this person does not see anything at all, has no usable vision.
Great. I guess everybody now is able to differentiate between a visually impaired person and someone who lacks vision. Am I right? So,
Okay.
Aditi, can you tell us the kind of projects you work on at Microsoft?
Definitely. I work on this Microsoft security team. So basically, we build different solutions to help our customers and our own Microsoft infrastructure be more secure. Which and I particularly focus on solutions that involve artificial intelligence. So I basically, like in a layman's term, a lot of the world's applications are hosted on the Microsoft Cloud, which is Azure. Like for instance, say there's a hospital and the hospital's infrastructure might be hosted on Azure, like the digital infrastructure. Now there's a hacker group that's trying to break into this hospital and cause havoc, and there could be patients whose life depends on it, right? Like there could be some life support systems that might be supported by this infrastructure and things like that. So there's a lot of this kind of critical infrastructure, plus like everything else, that requires a lot of proactive defense in terms of detecting if someone is trying to break into these systems and then trying to protect that. So there are a lot of humans, like frontline defense people, like security analysts and hunters and things like that, who actually work very hard around the clock to provide this defense. And my role is basically to build automations using AI to support these people, to make their life much easier so that they can do more and we can get ahead of all the bad actors in the world.
That sounds very exciting and very impactful. And really, we use AI from Microsoft primarily Microsoft Copilot and Microsoft Designer as our content creation tools, we can confidently say that you really are doing a good job at Microsoft in simplifying our production. TH.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I do agree with that because you come to think about it, Aditi, like I can just give a prompt to Microsoft Designer and then like Tipsy will see whether the design is great. And I just love the fact of being able to contribute to graphics as well. So really, as she has already mentioned, you really are doing a great job at Microsoft by ensuring that rather AI is also accessible such that we too as well can have a share in assisting our sighted counterparts.
Yeah. So, Aditi, let's shift our gears a little bit. You are not only a technical expert, but also a strong advocate for accessibility and inclusion. Can you tell us more about your involvement in these areas?
Definitely. As I mentioned throughout my story, and those are like few examples from my education life. I also faced a lot of discrimination and exclusion when it came to finding a job initially. So I feel like there is a need for awareness, right? Today, even after like 10 years in the technology industry, I meet people who ask me as to whether I can use a computer, which is very surprising to me sometimes because I work for a technology company. Um, so, I really feel that there's a need to bring awareness about the fact that disability does not mean end of life. Disability is just, um, a different kind of a challenge. Like we all face challenges in various areas of life. Disability is one such challenge, and like any other challenge, we can find ways to overcome it. And most people with disabilities learn how to live with the limitations that their disability brings in. So, as a part of this, I have been leading an employee resource group in Microsoft Security to bring this awareness. So, we invite speakers with different types of disabilities to come join us, talk to us about their disability, what are the challenges, how do they adapt, what can others do to be better allies. So that's kind of the underlying theme in terms of bringing in awareness. Sometimes you also need to take a step forward and do a little bit of advocacy. So I do some of that as well when we see that, hey, things are not accessible and they are posing to be a huge barrier. I partner with a lot of not-for-profits to do some advocacy over there. I'm a technologist, so I am also actively involved in helping various research projects that are trying to build new and innovative assistive technology solutions, or they're just trying to, make things more accessible. So I am constantly in touch with all of that. And beyond just all of this, I'm a huge proponent of helping people who are blind or visually impaired pursue STEM careers. There are very, very few blind people who actually get into non-conventional STEM careers. So I mentor a lot of younger students as to how they can overcome the challenges that they're facing in their education so that they do not give up on science and math, and they can just continue and just take very different paths, because every time someone takes like I've done cybersecurity now. Other blind people know that a blind person can do this. So it's about creating many trailblazers who can pave the path for others to follow.
Well, let me
Oh,
jump
wow.
here real quick, Aditi, because you mentioned some very good points that I would like to have more on. The first one being, can you please share with us some impacts that you've seen this employee resource group um, bringing to people's lives as well as to Microsoft its other employees? And then also second, may you also please share results that you've seen from the mentorship program or even the nonprofit making organizations programs that you.
Yeah, definitely. In terms of the ERG, I definitely see like a lot of uh, positive energy in terms of disability inclusion. Like, we are a long way from creating the same kind of disability representation that exists in the world, right? Like, there's 1.6 billion people with disabilities in the world, which is like almost 1 in 7 people that you would encounter, but we don't see a person with a disability as 1 in 7 in our workplaces, right? So, like just doing what we do with the ERG has helped people become more sensitized in terms of removing their biases. So we like get a lot of qualitative feedback and from managers and from other people who are now more open to hiring people with disabilities. So we see that number going up. Um, we also see a lot of impact in terms of people trying to make things more accessible. Um, After like some of our accessibility training workshops, I see people using tools like accessibility checker more often. I see people being intentional about adding alternate text to images. So those are just, some very small yet very impactful things that have happened. In terms of the mentorship, I have mentored like a lot of students over the last 10 years or so. I have students who are totally blind and have taken very non-conventional careers. Like there's one student of mine who ended up pursuing a graduation in chemistry, which is very unusual for someone who's blind because there's so much experimentation to be done. There are lots and lots of kids who are doing technology, computer science. So definitely a lot of impact there. I see more girls, more younger girls who are blind, and generally parents are very protective of girls with disabilities. So I see their parents being more open-minded and just helping them fly. So that's like some impact I've seen from the mentoring as well.
Oh, that's great. Well, Tepsi, don't you think we need to create like a hashtag Aditi Shah all over social media?
Definitely, she deserves it.
Definitely. And
Hmm.
maybe let me just ask this question real quick. You spoke about people really finding it difficult to employ persons with disabilities. Maybe can you just take us how you got through to Microsoft in the first place?
Yeah. So like I said, it wasn't a bed of roses initially. Like when I graduated back in India with my undergrad, I was at the top of my class, and I worked really hard to be at the top of my class because I thought, if I have very good academic scores, my employers, like future employers, are going to believe that I know what I'm doing. Um, However, for the longest time, I couldn't get a job in tech or engineering. Like people were willing to hire me, but not as an engineer. Like they didn't think a blind person could code. So I had to take a very non-conventional route there. Like I started freelancing. So I would take projects on this website called freelancer.com, where you basically bid on some assignments that someone else has posted. And then if you bid low enough or you have good ratings, you get the project and then you deliver and you get paid. You don't have to reveal your disability at any step over there. So that's how I actually started my kind of engineering career. I did that for a few months, and while doing that, one of my customers really liked my work, and they actually kind of offered me a full-time role, and that's how I got like my first corporate job. And this company was actually a data security company back in India. I did that for like a good 5 years. I joined as a very junior software engineer, but when I quit after 5 years, I was actually leading their entire engineering team. Um, After that, I really fell in love with cybersecurity while in that job. So I applied to a few schools in the US um, to specialize in security. And I got into the school called Georgia Institute of Technology in Atlanta, Georgia, where I did my MS in cybersecurity. And while I was doing that, I managed to get an internship with Microsoft. And after the internship, I got a full-time offer and I came back.
And here you are. Today you are an employee of Microsoft.
Yeah.
Yep.
This is very admirable and very inspiring. Aditi, what short message do you have for people who are blind or visually impaired who want to perhaps pursue a career in technology or artificial intelligence?
Yeah, I would say, one, don't be afraid to dream high, right? Like, don't think, oh, no one's has ever done this, or, how am I going to do this? Just take life one step at a time. Don't be afraid to step out of your comfort zone. Just take life one step at a time. Like if I would have thought, when I was 15-year-old and I lost my vision, I didn't even know if I wanted to live anymore. From that point, if I would have ever thought that, after another 15 years, I'll be working for the world's best technology company, it would have felt like very daunting, But I just took life one step at a time and, the journey just unfolded. So just take it one step at a time, do your best every day. Don't be afraid to put in that 200%. And, just be a solution minded person. There will be problems. There are problems I face every day, even today. But it's just that I don't look at them as problems anymore. I think of those as, puzzles that I need to solve. And I just take it as a fun challenge and I keep overcoming more and more.
Great.
Let me ask this real quick, because now you spoke about doing your best and also about having a feeling not wanting to live or not seeing yourself still living in the near future. That was when you went blind. What really helped you to keep on going? Or what if someone asks of the strategy that you use to keep on pursuing, to keep on dreaming high?
I think for me, like very early on, I decided that, hey, I'm going to achieve everything that I would have achieved if I didn't lose my sight, right? Um, which meant that, blindness was never a barrier. I never thought that I cannot do something because I'm blind. Even today, like I pretty much do everything. Like I don't hold myself back from doing something just because I'm blind. Like I might hold myself back from doing something because I'm tired or, I'm just not strong enough, but it's never because I'm blind. So blindness was never a factor in deciding what I want to do in life. And I think that has made a lot of difference in how how my life has really unfolded.
So it's really it's about not seeing blindness as hindrance or as a barrier, right?
Yes, it's just a part of your identity. Like, it's not your identity, right? Like, I always say that, hey, I'm a software engineer, I am a machine learning practitioner, I'm a cybersecurity professional, I'm a woman, I'm Asian, and I am also blind, right? So it's just one aspect of me. That doesn't make me less of a woman, for instance. It doesn't make me less of a software engineer. I'm not a bad software engineer because I'm blind. So I'm going to be the best software engineer out there. Doesn't matter.
I love that.
Honestly. Awesome. We asked for a message for people with visual impairments, and now, Aditi, we also have a request for, let's say, I'm a person who who has vision, and I have an interest in the affairs of people with disabilities. What message can you give to me?
I think, be an ally, right? We always say that, empathy over sympathy. And like, I often see people treating uh, those with blind and vision impairment as people who are either very, um, pitiful, like, someone they need to take a pity on. Oh my God, this person's blind, poor thing, kind of a story. Or they'll put them on a pedestal. Oh, this person is so awesome. Oh, they achieved this despite of their blindness, right? Um, we often forget that, you know, this is still a human being, right? They still have the same desires, the same dreams as anybody else would. So, treat them as equal to you. I think that would be the biggest service you can do. And then, you know, like I mentioned previously, like don't think of the disability as something lacking in them. Think of the disability as just one aspect of them. And, just like we all collaborate and we all kind of are interdependent on each other, do those little things that can make life better. Like, adding alt text to images, just being verbose when you share your screen. Um, just those little things go a very long way. So, yeah, that's basically the massive message I would like to give to all those who want to become good allies.
Well, that's a wonderful message. Personally, it reaches home. Thank you, Aditi, for sharing your story and your insights with us today. You're truly a role model and an inspiration for many.
Thank you
Yes.
guys for doing this. I'm so glad to meet both of you. And yeah, just keep doing it and let me know if I can be of any further help, to support your awesome effort.
Yeah. If someone would like to reach out to you, how do they do so?
Yeah, they can totally reach out to me on LinkedIn. Like I'm very active on LinkedIn. So my handle there is Aditi, ADITI dash Shah, SHAH dash infosec, INFOSEC. So you can look for me on LinkedIn, and would love to connect. So just drop me a message and I'll get back to you as soon as I can. And I try to help every single person who reaches out to me.
And yeah, talking of LinkedIn, let me quickly say a huge congratulations to you for your new role that you posted, I think a few weeks ago at
Yeah,
Microsoft.
thank you so
Yeah.
much.
If maybe you can tell listeners about that as well.
Yeah, I just recently joined a new team at Microsoft where I will be applying AI to what we call threat intelligence data, which is, like if anywhere, like say Bank of America today announces that they got hacked, we can take that information and immediately start protecting all the other bank customers. Um, So, a lot of those kind of interesting things like scanning the whole internet, and using that information to protect everyone we protect. So, yeah.
Yeah, really, once again, congratulations. I'm really inspired. And I don't know about you, Tepsi.
Oh, it was very, very inspiring and enlightening. I'm so inspired. Thank you very much. Great. Thank you, listeners, for tuning into Blind Smuts. We hope you enjoyed the episode and learned something new. Until next time, stay blind smuts. Bye.
And that's all for today, folks. Thanks for listening to Blind Smart. We hope you enjoyed this episode and learned something new and useful. If you did, please subscribe to this podcast and leave a review on your favorite platform. You can also follow us on Facebook at Blind Smart and check out visioninword.com/blog for more content and resources. We'd love to hear from you, so send us your questions and stories. We might feature them in a future episode. Until next time, stay safe, stay positive, and stay blind smart. Blind Smart, all about blindness and beyond. All about blindness and beyond.